Pan is our culture. Pan is part of our DNA. Pan is part of who we are in this country. In this episode, we'll be talking with Johann Chuckaree, a panist and entertainer. Welcome to Seasons of Music. My name is Christopher Aird. Hi, Johann.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
Welcome.
Good?
Yeah.
Shake your hand,
Welcome.
man. It's good to see you. It's good to see
Welcome
you.
to the set of Season Music, and we in this
Oh, God,
beautiful
it's a beautiful
setting.
place. It's a beautiful day. We're
Yeah.
outside, and man, it's always beautiful. This is God's creation right here.
Definitely is.
For sure.
And which is another one of God's creation is Pan. Tell me, give me your history of how you got involved with Pan.
Well, steel pan has always been very close to my heart and very close to my family as well.
Okay.
So I actually started, believe it or not, playing piano before pan. I started playing piano at the age of 4 years old. My parents always, both mom and dad, always pushed us. Don't mind, neither of them could play any musical
Well, I'm not going to ask
instruments.
for them musically.
But they always pushed us to play music from an early age. So I started playing piano at the age of 4. And I hated it, I'll be honest. I hated it at that point in time. And both my sisters, Christina and Johanna, they were playing pan at St. Joseph's Convent, Port of Spain, under the direction of Anthony Prospect at the time.
Okay.
And they had a pan in the house. And me being a little curious child that I am, I was like, well, if they could play it, I could play it too.
Why not?
So I started, and I think at the age of 5, I was playing the national anthem and a couple other things, and I was like, but this is fun. And
So did they teach you, or you just?
Yeah, so
okay.
that's actually how I started. If anybody asks me who taught me how to play pan, it's actually Johanna and Christine.
Okay.
That's where I got my start in pan. I had my basics of music, I understood music, I could have done reading, theory, that sort of stuff. But they really taught me how to play pan, the beginnings of it, how to roll, how to strike, where the notes are, that sort of stuff. So they are actually responsible for starting my career. They're the first foundational block of my career. And beyond that, we are very much associated with St. Teresa's RC Church in Woodbrook.
Right.
And we have been for many, many years. We used to handle the Saturday evening choir, but now we are involved in all the different choirs as well. So I actually started playing pan in church at the age of 8 years old. And that is where I really developed my skill of playing by ear, of, kind of being on the fly. Sometimes parts of the mass would change, sometimes songs would be new, and we didn't get enough chance to rehearse it. And that's really what built my ear in terms of learning how to catch on, or how to accompany a choir, or how to accompany, Johanna playing the keyboard or the organ, as the case may be.
Right.
And from there, at the age of 13, I joined Phase 2 Band Group, which is just a stone's throw away from my house. And the rest is history. I performed with them for Panorama for 20 years, 5 Panorama wins, 7 second places, numerous third places. And it's really an amazing experience to grow up in Woodbrook for me. I always say I'm born in the perfect place. And my perfect place is my home, Phase 2 Panyard right there, St. Teresa's Church right there, Fatima right there. And there's a culmination of so many things. I think so many right things that had to happen. I call that divine intervention for it to be where I am today.
just going back to your time in St. Teresa's playing, because I remember going to St. Teresa's, and that's where I first heard pan being introduced
In
as
church?
part of the mass.
Okay.
Because it was always kind of like, okay, just a guitar and different things like that. So
Right.
it was refreshing to hear that as part
So
of
that's the thing too, and being a national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago and being something that's intrinsic to what our culture is, I think that it's an important aspect of worship music.
Right.
In that, what better way to celebrate, what better way to praise God, what better way to encourage people to join in a celebration than hearing something that is A, familiar to them,
Right.
B, they can relate to, and C, that feels natural to Trinidadian or Tobagonian, as the case may be. So I
Right.
think it's something that we actually need in a lot more churches. We do see it. They do have small pan sides. They do have steel pan players that play solo in masses or play with the choir, that sort of stuff. But I think it's something that needs to be developed further,
Right.
where not only is it a good community building project where you can build community within the parish to have a steel band, but also, like I said, it's a nice way to relate and bring that nationalistic aspect into the worship.
Right. Okay. Great. In Fatima itself, did you play pan in Fatima? Because I
So,
know
yeah.
there was one time there was no pan thing, and
So
all of a sudden,
I was in the in-between portion when we were now trying to rebuild the music program in Fatima. Right now, under the direction, I know we had Kwesi Noel, and then I
Right.
cannot remember who is there currently. I think it is Mr. Edwards.
Right.
But I know they really built over the music in Fatima, the entire music program in Fatima, including their
it's amazing when I
Gifts of
hear.
Blue and Gold and
Yeah,
the steel
yeah,
orchestra and the choir, and it's really amazing, and I would like to think that maybe my influence was there a little bit in trying to get them that push that, hey, we need to do this
Yeah.
and we need to start this back. We also had Anthony Garcia, who was the principal at that time. He made a push before he left to acquire some instruments and some equipment and that
Because
sort
I
of
know
stuff.
pan is very expensive.
Yeah,
If to get a whole band,
it's not
always
cheap. It's not cheap, but they're doing an amazing job, and I'm extremely proud of Fatima College for doing everything that they are, especially the musical aspect. It has gotten to a whole new level. I kind of wish that I was there right now to experience what is there.
Trust me, I've said the same thing because in growing up at that time, it was a little taboo to be in the choir or to be doing any part of
Right.
that. And where I saw my sons coming through that, and I was like, wow, this is what was needed, But I guess only in its own time,
But I mean, being involved in Fatima as well grew my music ability. We used to do
And
things
you're right,
like
across the river.
Right.
Phase 2 is right across the river. Actually, phase 2 is one of my first kind of relationship with pan because
Okay.
my teacher at the time, Ray Holman,
right.
he was one of the arrangers,
correct.
and we would be happy when he left class to go and, it was really very funny. But yeah, so I guess, being across the road
so
easier for you.
To start in Fatima, I was responsible for, like, for example, the school masses and stuff. Myself and a couple other students, we were responsible for putting together the music for the masses and then running the masses as well, because I've had the experience with St. Teresa's.
Right.
And not only on the religious side, but we used to run the like their calypso competitions and their carnival shows and
Right.
music for their prize giving and awards and that sort of stuff. And all those experiences really snowballed for me and gave me, I think, the responsibility and the practice that I needed in order to do some of the things that I do now.
Right.
Organizing shows and putting on performances, putting together a band, for example. Those are things that were learned from a very early age
Yeah.
between St. Teresa's, Fatima, and Phase 2.
Yeah.
So like I said, those are the three pillars of my foundation of growing up playing band.
Yeah. Somehow when you go out there, you seem to be, not that in Trinidad people don't say, wow, pan, but when you go abroad and they actually see it, then
Well, the thing
you
about it is that
understand.
it's still a novelty for the international
I
market.
guess so, yeah.
And so you always meet some people who kind of know about it or who think
Yeah.
it's something from Jamaica.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of correction that has to go and say, no, it's from Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad is in the Caribbean. This is where it was made, that sort of stuff.
Right.
But it's just an amazing experience, and people are amazed by the instrument itself. Something about the instrument and something about this place, Trinidad and Tobago, where it's born, and the struggle that ensued to create the instrument has created something that is absolutely magical in every way.
Right.
And you see that in terms of how the instrument is made, the simplicity of it, but also the complexity of it.
Yeah.
People come up and they're like, where is it plugged in?
Yes, yeah.
Where is
Or
this
still- they
electronic?
still do
Yeah,
that.
when you go to an
That's
international
interesting.
market that they don't know about
Yeah.
it, a lot of people are shocked and confused by
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
seeing, and they are absolutely amazed.
I was reading through your bio, very interesting bio, and one of the things was that you did a CD, well, a CD in those days.
Multiple albums at this point. But
Yeah, well, in your first one was
Yeah.
when you were 18, a
Correct.
Christmas album.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So that was a lot of influence with Jason Desant at the point in time. I don't know if you remember
yeah,
Jason.
Jason, yeah.
So Jason was a very close friend of mine at that point, and I actually used to do some work in the studio. That is where I cut my teeth then working in the studio, recording and learning about the production aspect of music.
Right.
And that was a big foundation for me as well. And believe it or not, I met Jason through the Youth for Christ program, through Keith Fung. He's deceased now, God rest his soul, great guy.
Right.
And he was able to put together this band, and we would do Youth for Christ and Couple for Christ events. And, you know, it was really amazing to experience Jason, you know, being visually impaired.
Yeah.
And just on a whole different level, running that entire studio by himself and performing by himself and just being absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And so working in the studio, Jason said, you know, I like how you play, I like what you do. You never thought about doing a CD? And I was like, I mean, I'm young, I'm 17 going to be 18 at that time, and I didn't really think about it. He's like, yeah, let's do a Christmas CD, and he really pushed me for it. One of the things he laughed and he joked, he said, all right, well, here are the keys to the studio. I will do some production, but the rest is up to you.
Right.
I was like, this is very intimidating at this point. But believe it or not, with the help of my mom, my dad, my sister Johanna, and quite a few other people, we were able to get it done. And we had nights where I'd have mom tracking pan. Like I'd be in the booth recording, and she'd be pressing start and stop and record and stop. And similarly with my dad when he was alive, and my sister Johanna as well. And so that is really where that family relationship with music even got stronger. And you know, that Christmas CD today, to me, is timeless.
Right.
We had guest artists like Len Bugsy Sharp was on that. We had the Marionettes Chorale. We had Tiantec Luces Brillantes Parang Group. We had Debbie Nahus and David Huggins was on that CD as well. So we had many different guest artists who were involved as well too. And to me, every Christmas I still put that on and be like, wow, this is something that transports me back to where I was in 2007.
Yeah.
And
so you have done other CDs?
Yeah, I've done other albums. I've done an original one called India. I've done one called Soca Meets Pan, where we did a mix of soca and pan. And we do have another one coming up, which will be an updated Christmas album soon. So,
well, coming back to solo panist, I recently went to a carnival party, and I can't remember the guy's name who came to play, and I was like, is this going to kill the party? But he brought a performance with it. He had the background track, he played with it, but he also he almost was like a DJ, right? You know, egg on the crowd, and it was real pleasantly surprising, and it didn't kill the party at all, you know?
So that's the thing. So one of the goals that we've had is to get pan back into the party.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, if you remember, if you think about customs, sweat and license, and fete and fire, and all these different things that they had, you had an element of steel pan in the parties and in the fetes. And so part of the movement that we have now, and I think the guy you will be talking about may have been Joshua Regrello.
Joshua, yes.
Right?
Yes.
One of the things we do, especially when I perform with him or he performs with me, we do performances like that, is also to hype the crowd. It's not only a static performance where you just stand up playing. It's to encourage the crowd. You are not just a musician, you are also an entertainer.
So
and
it has evolved.
Exactly. Exactly. And so the goal there now is to get pan back into the forefront locally, where a panist can be seen as a real entertainer. And it's not just, well, you know, we playing in a corner for a cocktail party or on a stage with a band. We are now the artist, the entertainer, the headliner as well. And so that has been the new evolution of what we've been trying to do. And also that gets pan back to a lot younger audience.
It does, yeah.
You know, so we do have a lot of young people who play pan, but our audience has been a little bit on the older side. So things like this makes the audience a little bit younger, and that is what will perpetuate the love for the steel pan locally and internationally.
Sure, yeah. All right, let's start with the pan industry and pan itself. Are there any peeves that you would like seen, or you would like more development for pan
Well,
itself, for the pan man?
pan in general is something that requires a lot more attention, a lot more funding, a lot more development, a lot more evolution in so many different ways. When you look at the panorama competition, it's something amazing and brings together so many people and so many bands and so much resources and so much expression of talent and of culture. And then after Carnival, it's done.
Said, yeah.
You know, so it's really in investing in other things to continue the industry during the year. Yes, they have little performances. Yes, there are tours that steel bands go on and that sort of stuff. But it's to keep the employment for these guys.
Right.
And I think it's something that could be very community-centric. We have panyards in all our major communities. Panyard should be seen as that point for young people, as a homework center, as an area to learn music and learn how to play pan and create a career and learn about the different skills that are going into pan, not only playing, but tuning and making and building and that sort of stuff too. And so that I think that evolution is necessary. You know, we've had some beautiful, good evolutions that have taken place. For example, the creation of MITCO, which is the musical instruments of Trinidad and Tobago Company. It's the first, I would say, the first professional.
Also?
So I'm a little part of it. I'd say it's the first professional steel pan manufacturing factory, and that is a collaboration between Akua Leith and the Haddad family.
Right.
And it's been an amazing thing to see this factory progress and build and create. You know, I've been very lucky to become a brand ambassador for MITCO, and it has afforded me to travel and perform with them as well. And it's an amazing thing to see the quality of the instruments they've created and the people that they've employed. We have now pan tuners, pan makers, people who sync and groove and cut and polish, and we now have a proper business for them where they're employed, where you can actually say, hey, they have a job tomorrow. It's not something that is, you know, kind of, well, we're not sure what's going on tomorrow. We're not sure if we have a job tomorrow after this order is sent out.
Because it sounds as if like you have a pan side of, what is it, a large pan side?
So an average large band pan side would be about 120 players.
Right, so 120. So during the year, these 120 people moving together was because to me the impression I get is only around Carnival time all of a sudden everybody comes together. So you might have a smaller type side.
So during the year would break down to a smaller band which they call the stage side, and the stage side usually comprises 20 to 35 players, and they would have small events, they would have small performances, that sort of stuff, corporate things for their sponsor if they do have a sponsor, little concerts or events in the panya, that sort of thing. But the only time you really see that band build back up to 120 players is usually during the panorama season or during the carnival season. So that's why I'm saying too that it would be an asset to have other competitions throughout the year where we can bring together the band, not just once a year for Panorama. Maybe long ago we used to have other competitions. One was called Pan in the 21st Century and Pan down Memory Lane, and they had so many different competitions. There was World Steel Band Festival. So these are things that need to come back in order to keep these things going and to keep the band going and just to keep that camaraderie and that spirit and that community and that business as well going.
All right, so how do you see yourself, going back to you as a panelist, as an entertainer, where do you see yourself in the future? How would you like to see?
Well, the thing about it is that my career is constantly evolving in terms of what I'm doing, in terms of where I'm going and where I'm performing and what type of music I'm performing. And honestly, I'm not sure what the future holds, but I definitely know that I want to continue performing because to me, like I said, it brings joy to the audience, and that is something that really enlightens me, and it really is an exceptional feeling to express yourself and to bring joy to the audience as well. Definitely, I'm doing more collaborations, more concerts. I do have a show coming up in June, on June the 23rd at Queen's Hall. Father's Day weekend, and
but this is your second show.
This is my probably like fifth or sixth show, but it's been the second one in Queen's Hall. And again, you'll see a lot of collaborations. I like to cross the boundary where we would have soca artists, chutney artists, different instrumentalists, different vocalists, that sort of stuff, to show the versatility of where pan can fit. And to me, steel pan can fit into any genre of music, from classical to reggae to pop to soca to dancehall, everywhere. You know, so my goal is to show that off and to compose music that shows that off as well. And travel internationally and continue to spread the word about steel pan and continue to show the international market that pan has a place. You know, it's not just an island instrument. Pan has a place in the international market, and it is a beautiful instrument that can allow a musician to really express themselves in a very easy way. It is, to me, it is one of the simpler instruments to pick up.
Right.
It's a lot of quick return.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you would go in and you would play a couple notes, and before you know it, hey, I could play a scale. Here, I could play a chord. I could
Yeah.
play an arpeggio. And it really, the joy and the light that you see in people's faces when they're like, wow, I just played do re mi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, it's really a quick return on a very short time of investment. And I think that high reward sort of instrument is something that a lot of people could be encouraged to play music through.
Right. Johann, thank you very much. This has been an interesting interview, you know, because I've seen you perform, as I said,
Oh, yeah.
from very young. And I've seen you grow over the years, and it was
Thank you.
interesting hearing your history and where you've been. Thank you once again for joining us on Seasons of
Thanks so
Music,
much, Chris.
alright?
It's good to see you again, and thanks so much for having me, man.
No problem. So again, another episode of Seasons of Music. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time. Bye-bye.